What is going on, y'all? Robert Sykes, KetoSavage.com, and in today's episode, I've got my lovely wife, Crystal Sykes, and this is episode 600, so I figured I'd do a little update video with her on everything going on in our life right now. We talk about her powerlifting meet. She just competed in her first ever powerlifting meet, so we talked about that. We talk about my competition prep, because that is well underway right now, and I've got my first competition coming up in like a week and a half. We talk about the 50-mile march that I'm doing this weekend to raise awareness for veterans. We talk about homesteading, the garden, the chickens, the pigs, the fencing, all the good homesteading stuff. We talk about Rigel, some updates on him. He's 15 months old now, so I just want to kind of bring you up to speed on what we're doing from a parenting standpoint there and his growth and what he's been able to accomplish since the last time we spoke. So all kinds of good things. I'm super excited about this. Episode 600 is in the books, y'all. Thank you all so very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy this episode. So without further delay, sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation with my lovely wife, Crystal. And we are live. Baby doll, how you doing?
I'm good. You're so loud in my ears.
I know. Episode 600. Let's talk about that for a second. This is episode 600 of the Keto Savage podcast. That is kind of crazy. That's a pretty big milestone. I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
500 was a big milestone. We did a podcast together then. Have we done one together at every 100th episode? I can't remember.
I don't think we have. I think we started at like 4 or 5 or something like that.
This is episode 600.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's crazy. I started the podcast in 2016. I started being consistent with publishing, I think, twice a week in 2018 at some point. And I've kept that up, and it's grown slowly but surely. And my podcasting is probably my favorite platform for communicating with my audience, because I bring on interesting people, I don't know how the podcasting algorithm works, but people seem to like my podcast, which is cool. So all y'all listening right now, thank you for listening. I appreciate you. How you doing, babe?
I'm great.
We have a little hit list of things that we want to cover today on this episode 600, and I want to start off with your powerlifting meet. So you did a powerlifting meet, I guess, 2 weekends ago now, right? 2 weekends?
Yep, not last. Yeah.
Yeah.
1 week. I mean, it was a week ago.
Yeah, you just finished your last little deload week post powerlifting meet. So you've been training with the powerlifting structure for the past how many weeks? How many months?
Like 7 or 8 months, somewhere in there. I don't know exactly how many weeks.
7 or 8 months, and you've been working with
Connie Nightingale.
Connie Bigani, the one and only.
Connie Bigani is her Instagram username.
Check out the podcast I did with her a while back. I don't do another one with her since you've powerlifted with her now. That'd be kind of a cool episode.
Yeah, she wants me to get on her podcast. She also has a really great podcast, but she wants me to get on her podcast and talk about like mindset shifts and things like that with the powerlifting. So yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
So let's dive into powerlifting a little bit. You last stepped on stage from a competitive endeavor in 2018 when you competed in your figure competition and won. That's when I stepped on stage to propose to you, and you said yes. Mm-hmm. And that was the last time you've competed since this powerlifting, or up until this powerlifting meet. So that's quite a big window there. Did you get the bug to compete again, or what was going on there? What was the mindset?
The mind thought. Well, right after my show in 2018, we got married. Then COVID happened. Then I got pregnant. Then I had a baby. Then I had a little recovery time. And then it was like Rigel was, I don't know, like 6 months old. And I was like kind of just like sitting in this circle of, I don't know what I'm doing with myself. Like, I'm working out, but like, what are my goals? Like, I want to treat my body well, but I also like don't need to be the leanest person alive, because eventually we're going to want to have another kid. And, you know, you are literally going for the leanest man alive. It's just kind of funny that I just said that. Yeah. So I just needed like a goal. And I have always, like, since I very first started working out, I have kind of always wanted to do powerlifting. And I actually remember strictly in Spokane when it was still Gold's Gym. Mm-hmm. And I think it was a father and a daughter, or a coach and a younger girl, and they came up to me and they're like, have you ever thought about doing powerlifting? And I was like, I literally just started lifting 4 months ago, so I have not. And they were like, you really should consider it, like with your body weight and like how much you're lifting, like how much we're seeing you lift right now, like you should definitely think about doing it. And I think ever since that moment, like it has been in the back of my mind of like, that seems like something I would enjoy. And so I just decided to jump in on like and do it. And Connie, I actually reached out to her because she started competing in powerlifting. And I just thought, okay, well, you know, who do you suggest I follow? Is there any like training program that you would suggest? Blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, would you actually like consider coaching me like as a guinea pig? Like even though I know that's like not what you do, but like she does do like workout plans and structured protocols and things like that, which is great. But I actually wanted her to prep me for a meet. So it was cool. I was our guinea pig, and now we're just like rocking and rolling. We love it.
Well, I've always thought that you're incredibly strong. You have a very impressive power to weight ratio. I've always said that about you. I mean, you were deadlifting like 300 pounds, years ago, which is kind of crazy because you weigh, what's your average weight? I mean, you've gotten as lean, you got down to 135 for the figure competition?
127.
127.
Yep.
What was I thinking? 135. And then when you were pregnant, your highest weight was what?
Let's see. I was
like 160, I think, right? 159?
I think it was 170.
170.
Or something like that.
And then post-pregnancy, you got down and kind of like settled around 140.
It was like, 145-ish.
Yeah. But you're lifting, over your body weight in everything, which is super impressive as a female. But then like your deadlift, like I said, is more than double your body weight. Your squat's super impressive. So I'm not surprised that you were drawn to powerlifting, but it's cool that you've done a figure competition and a powerlifting meet. I've only done the bodybuilding. I've not done a powerlifting meet. So you've kind of got a taste of both, and they're both pretty different from a training and a prep standpoint. So how would you compare the two?
They're non-comparable. Like, they're just so different. So, like, bodybuilding, it's like, you go, you hit your workouts, it's fun. You kind of can do whatever you want. It's not like you're working on a strategic plan per se. Like, you can kind of have a little bit of leeway with it. With powerlifting, you're kind of more in like a strength cycle. So you kind of do want to hit certain weights, certain percentages, things like that at certain times, especially if you're going to like compete regularly. And I kind of like the structure of that. Like, I like to know, like, I need to do this because of X, Y, and Z. This is going to help me with this move, blah, 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 blah. Like, I like the technique of all of that. Like, it seems very orderly, and I like order. But with bodybuilding, I'd say the prep is a lot harder. You're in a prep for a lot longer in bodybuilding. You're really stressing your body as far as, like, trying to become lean. With powerlifting, some people have to cut, which I did not have to cut. So really you're just trying to like maintain. You're eating plenty to like fuel your body and things like that. So it's just very different when it comes to like nutrition. It's very much the same because like I stayed keto and all that, but it's very different as far as like what you're doing with your nutrition. Cardio, there really isn't much with powerlifting. Like walks are always encouraged, but like we're not doing anything crazy with cardio. It is just very different.
Yeah, there's kind of like polar opposite ends of the spectrum. Like with bodybuilding, you're trying to build as much muscle in the building phase, which is what you're also trying to do with powerlifting, except building more strength focus, less hypertrophy focus. So there is kind of some crossover there. And then with bodybuilding, you're trying to maintain as much muscle as you've built and get as lean as possible, whereas with powerlifting, you're trying to maximize strength and you're not really paying much attention to composition per se.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And with powerlifting, you can compete 1, 2, 3, 4 times a year. You can compete once every quarter, things like that. Whereas with bodybuilding, you kind of want to compete, especially if you're a natural athlete. You want to compete in maybe a few shows in one season and then take a couple of years off while you're, trying to build lean mass. With powerlifting, you want to give yourself like a deload week and things like that around your meet day. But really, you can compete several times per year. So that's kind of like a fun aspect of powerlifting too.
Yeah, and like from a training standpoint, I train pretty intuitively as a bodybuilder. Like I view that as an art. Like I'm sculpting lagging body parts. I'm training those specifically in different ways, but I'm not really ever structuring my training routine. You can, but I don't ever really structure mine based off of like 1 rep maxes or anything like that. Like I don't have a technical training plan in that regard. My nutrition's super technical. My training's more intuitive. With you, the nutrition's more intuitive and your training's more technical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I do feel like through this training process that I've gone through, like I had no idea what to expect. A lot of people are like, all powerlifters do is like 5x5s, 3x3s, blah, 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 blah. And that's like total baloney, because maybe some of them do. But like I was doing high volume stuff, like in the beginning of my strength cycle, like high volume stuff. And then like we tapered it down little by little. But like at one point I was doing like 9 sets of 2 reps, but these 2 reps are like super heavy. And then you're doing things like heavy holds where you're literally just walking the weight out, holding it for 10 seconds and walking it back in. And it seems like silly stuff, but like when you really start to break it down, it makes sense like to do those things. And I never knew what to think about powerlifting and like that as a sport, but having trained the way that I have, I really enjoyed doing it this way. And like I don't see it as like all they do is take like 5-minute long breaks. That's really not a thing. Like we're not taking 5-10 minute breaks until maybe the very, very end right before a meet, you know?
On that note, let's kind of dive into some of the dogma around powerlifting, because there's certainly a lot of dogma in the sport of bodybuilding. There's probably equally as much dogma in the sport of powerlifting, some of which holds true, some of which is certainly not applicable to, you following a ketogenic diet. So one of which being like nutrition. So when we were there, this is kind of funny too, because like when I'm backstage with the competitors at a bodybuilding show, everybody's sucking down rice cakes and putting peanut butter and jelly and honey and stuff on them. And that was pretty much the same case at the powerlifting meet. Like everybody had one guy had a massive like wholesale size box of Rice Krispies. He was chowing down on that. Everybody had like the Haribo, how do you say that? Like candy?
Oh yeah, like the little gummy
bear things.
Yeah.
A bunch of like gushers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody's sucking down. They're doing like one single repetition. They're sucking down all this sugar. And you didn't do any of that stuff. Like you literally were fueled. You had bacon and eggs that morning, and then you had like a quarter of a keto brick intermittently throughout the day.
I tried. Like I
were
was
pretty full. You were stuffed.
Yeah, I had been like really eating a ton like the last month, and so and my nerves got to me on meet day. So it was just like I was trying so hard to eat, but it was just like, oh, I cannot get anything in.
When you get that adrenaline pump and your nerves are up, it's like there's no appetite. Like you're in sympathetic nervous system. Your body is like not thinking about food.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to see for sure. But it didn't look like you had any issues with energy. You were a little bit worried about proper, fueling as a pre-workout. So we started playing around with a few things in the weeks leading up to your meet, and we got it dialed into what was the pre-workout formula that we concocted for you. So it was L-carnitine, creatine, electrolytes, and then a little bit of beta-hydroxybutyrate and a ketone ester. MCT oil. And that's it.
Pure
right?
protein, pure pump protein.
Pure Pump is the pre-workout, yeah. So it's a caffeine, basically just a caffeine, I think 200 milligrams clean. Or something like that. Yeah. And that was all you had as a pre-workout concoction, and that seemed to work pretty well for you from a fueling standpoint.
Yeah, I was super concerned about it before because we had done a 1-rep max day, like where I did squat, bench, deadlift, and that's always the order you go in, squat, bench, deadlift on meet day. And like I kind of like bonked when it came to bench. Like I felt so good with squats, and then like all of a sudden with bench I was like, wow.
This was in the weeks leading up to it?
Yeah. And then with my deadlifts I got like the energy back up again. And I was really kind of concerned that my bench wasn't going to be as good. But then I asked Robert, I'm like, what do I do? Like, I need to figure something out. And he's like, you're going to put this.
I got a little concern. There's a little tiff action going on there because she was on the fence about, man, all these powerlifters are recommending I take honey.
I was not on the fence. I was just, I understood.
You were saying this is what everybody else was doing.
Yes.
And it's working for them. Is there a reason it wouldn't work for me?
Yeah. And it was like, okay, this is working for everyone else. how do I make it work for me? Like, what can I do? And Robert's like, you're going to go eat honey, aren't you? And I'm like, no, I just have zero idea, like, what I can do that would do the same exact thing for me. Because as someone who's been keto for, 7 years now?
Yeah, 7 years.
7 years, it's like, I don't think having something sugary is going to actually benefit me. Like, I may actually not feel well. Like, it might totally throw my body off. So I'm like, what do I need to do? And Robert was like, you're going to put this and this and this and this and this together and then try it. And like, I went into the gym the next day and I was like, I feel so good. Like, everyone needs this pre-workout mix if they're going to do this. Like, I felt so good. And like, I did that on my meet day and my bench was my best lift. So, so it definitely worked.
Yeah. See, I like that because I get it all the time. Like, you got to have carbs if you're going to compete at a high level in this sport, or maybe not that sport, but definitely this sport. I'm like, no, you just got to get deeply fat adapted and then get things dialed in from a fat metabolism standpoint, and you are solid. And you were solid.
Yep.
So let's talk about the actual meet. So we get there the day before, you check in your gear because you were competing in a natural federation and you were doing it raw. Mm-hmm. So you had to check in on your gear. They make sure that you're not, hiding some specialty spacesuit science sleeves or something that make you lift twice as much.
You have to have like cotton only or polyester only, like undershirt, underwear. You have to have a certain type of socks. You have to have a singlet, but it has to be like all the right things. So you have to check everything in. You have to check in your belts, your wrist wraps, your shoes, like all that kind of stuff in. So you go in, check it all. Then they like measure your height on like when you're doing squats and when you're doing bench, so that when it's your turn to go up, they can just move it knowing exactly your dimensions of like where your stuff needs to be set up. And then you do your weigh-ins. So I did my weigh-ins and then I hit my weigh-ins.
What was your official weight on show day?
I actually,
or I guess the
day before. I don't remember. I didn't weigh myself at home, and they did it in kilograms, and I was like, whatever. As long as I hit it, I don't care what I am. But probably like 145 something.
Yeah. And then the day of the meet, let's talk about the lifts. So like you said, you did squat first, and you get 3 attempts with all lifts. Mm-hmm. And then if you get all 3 lifts and you're going for a national record, then you could do a fourth attempt. But you were doing squat first. What was your opener?
Gosh, don't ask me the numbers. Like, I can't even with my brain.
All right, we'll just do the final number. That's the one people care about. What was your final squat?
I think it was 255.
255.
I think so.
And you were going low. So, like, a lot of the powerlifters, I mean, like, to make it count, you got to get 3 white lights. They have a judge in front of you and a judge on either side of you to make sure you're hitting depth, all that good stuff. And then, you have to go parallel. You were going below parallel because that's how we train. We always go below parallel, which is good because it just ensures that there's no question there. So you were hitting 255 on your last rep for squat, which is awesome. And then bench. What'd you hit on bench?
Let's say I did try for a higher squat, my third attempt, and I did fail it. I don't remember what I went for, though. I went above what I wanted to. I went above what I thought I could because I wanted to push it a little bit.
It was like 275 or something.
Yeah, something like
274 maybe.
And I was very close to getting it. I got down and up, and then I just got to a sticking point and I couldn't get it up. So
yeah.
Anyways, and then bench goes next. And so I did my opener, my second, and my third was 165, which I had done that previously in the gym. So I really wanted to get a higher weight than that, but I also didn't want to push it too crazy. I didn't want to try and do anything and then it not work out too well. But with that one, apparently that's a pretty good lift for me. So it's a pretty good lift for my weight range in my weight range, I guess.
Well, you set a state record.
Yeah, so I set a state record in that federation. So it's kind of like a newer federation. So they're kind of like...
It's NPL?
NPL, yeah.
Which is National Powerlifting League, I think. Yeah.
Yep. And my next goal is going to be to go into a larger... meet, a larger federation. That one was really fun. I'm so glad I did it. It was such a great time. but I think I can be a little bit more challenging to myself if I do one of the other federations. So I think we're going to lean towards that. But yeah, and then deadlifts, we went and did that. And I was kind of bummed with my deadlifts. Like, I was pretty mad at myself, actually. I felt maybe a little bit like my adrenaline had kind of dropped a little bit by that point. And
it's a long, like, there was not that many competitors. There's like 20.
Yeah.
But like everybody's doing 3 attempts for 3 different lifts, and there's like 20 minutes in between each different lift. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you're literally there all day long.
Yeah. And so I think I was just getting a little bit worn, and which I'm kind of bummed to say, like, that's what I really do feel like what was happening, because I lifted that bar and I was like, wow, that was really heavy.
Yeah.
So I did my opener, and then I actually failed my next 2 lifts, which I was really bummed about, but I now know that was maybe too large of a jump, and then they use a little bit different bars and different weights and things like that. So I think I just need to account for that next time. And just
what was the official lift?
The first one or
the one you got?
I
want to say it was
sad
like
that I can't remember these.
270, 265.
Yeah, 265. I think so. It was 265 or something.
Yeah,
Somewhere
and you've
around
gotten
there.
300 before here lifting, so it is frustrating for sure.
It is, but like, that's the thing, is like Connie and Joe Davis is our friend. He lives in Missouri. He actually came down to be my handler for my meet. So Connie was actually speaking at a convention the weekend of my meet. So Joe came down, and handler really just like helps you figure out like what time, like when you need to warm up, how exactly you need to warm up, when you need to eat, when you need to drink your pre-workout. When you're doing bench press, they can actually lift off for you. So he was here doing that with me. And where was I going with that?
You were talking about the lifts, the lift that you got, like the weight that you got. And you were talking about Joe.
Yeah.
I'm the one in prep right now. What are you doing? You're taking enough calories. You shouldn't be fading out like this.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. I can't even remember.
But yeah, Joe's awesome. Joe's one of my clients. He's also a powerlifter. He did a bodybuilding show with me as his nutrition coach, and then he kind of reciprocated and was like acting as your handler for this meet.
Yeah, so Joe and Connie both. Like, Joe's done powerlifting a lot, and Connie obviously has too. And they both were saying, like, your PR in the gym is not even comparable to a PR on a show day. And I will totally agree to that. Like, at first I was like, that's silly. You can lift the weight. But like on show day, you have crazy adrenaline running through your body. You're like peaked for it, but you also have 3 judges sitting there watching and making sure that you're doing everything right. If you'll have 3 white lights. If you get 2 red lights, you failed your lift. So you can try that weight again, but you
can't go down.
You failed it. Yeah, you can't go down in weight. I only, over the whole meet, I only got 1 red light, which made me super happy. And I don't even know why I got the red light, because I forgot to ask them, but
except for the 3 that you failed, the one
yeah,
squat.
I just failed those, but they didn't say like bad technique or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because, but that was really like, I was happy to leave that with just the 1 red light. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
But a PR, like the gym PR, like I've gotten 300, I've got 295 several times. It's like, it's frustrating because you know you can do it, but it's just such a different expectation on yourself on a meet day. Like it is just different. So people are like, oh, I can lift heavier than you, but it's like, you don't have someone telling you like, yeah, bro, that's a half squat, or whatever.
And this was your first one, so you've got like no perspective of it
up
to this point. So you're more nervous, you're more anxious, like all those things are going on.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool though. It was cool for me. I was handling Rigel the whole time. I was his handler. But it was cool for me to see you competitive again and just like the excitement that comes with that. So I'm super proud of you. I think you kicked ass, and I'm excited to see you do it again. Thanks.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I'm going to be doing it again. I'm super excited about the next time.
Yeah, and you're going to do tentatively one in, what did we say, February?
January, February.
Yeah, January, February.
We're not talking about anything after that.
All right, so we'll keep all that under wraps for the time being. But yeah, very proud of you, babe. I think you're super impressive. You have most certainly earned the title of Lady Savage. One of the coolest things I think about the whole meet was that you would go, beat a state record in bench, and then like you would walk over and breastfeed Rigel before you started doing deadlifts. Like that's hardcore right there. You were keto throughout the whole thing, kicking butt with the lifts, being a mom at the same time. Like pretty impressive stuff.
Thanks.
Pretty impressive stuff. So that's the powerlifting. Anything else on the powerlifting meet?
Nope, that was it.
That was all she wrote?
Thanks for listening.
All right. Now let's dive into my prep. All right. Whew, my
Robert
prep.
and I have been like polar opposites.
Total opposites.
Like
yeah.
I have been eating twice the amount that Robert has.
Yeah, you've definitely
Poor
been
guy.
eating, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so stuffed. I don't want another bite. And then you like look over at me like for, confirmation, and I'm like, yeah, what are you looking at me for? Because that's not the case. Don't know the feeling. But honestly, so this is, at the time of this recording, this is week 21 that we're in. So I started prep on April 3rd. We're 21 weeks in at this point, and I feel pretty good about how everything's gone. Like I am honestly blown away at how smooth this prep has gone thus far. This has been the easiest prep for me by far, and I don't feel like I've been an asshole to anybody. Have I been an asshole? You're going to be the true judge of character there.
You've actually been really good. What did I say the other day?
I don't know.
Like I said something like, oh, I don't remember. I remember you were asking me about that, and I was like, no, you've just been like
Focused.
stern.
No
or
bullshit.
like, yeah. No BS.
Yeah, I'm definitely focused right now for sure. Like I have a routine. I've got like a nighttime routine, a morning routine. I adhere to it strictly, but I haven't been unpleasant to anybody. Like I've been super on point with the crew. I don't know. What do you think, Chip? Chip's recording this right now. He gives me the thumbs up. Haven't been an asshole to him. I feel like in the past, I vividly recall just being very irritable, like to the point where if somebody looks at me funky, I just want to like rip their head off.
Yeah. Robert has not gotten on to me about my eating this time. Last time I was eating nuts, and like he was like, you have got to stop eating those. I'm like, what? He's like, go in the other room and eat them. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
I haven't done that.
Not this prep. Like it has been totally different.
And like
We've been so busy, but like you've held it together really well.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm mentally sharp. So like I'm still podcasting every single day, multiple podcasts a day. I'm staying on top of all my business, requirements and responsibilities. I'm just getting everything done really efficiently, really focused, and I'm doing it in a pleasant state of mind, which I think is just liberating for sure. And honestly, like I've enjoyed all the workouts. Like Chip and I are training together every morning. I haven't dreaded the workouts. It's just been, I think honestly, there's a couple things to play here. One is that this is the first prep I've done during the summer months instead of doing like a spring show and prepping through the winter. So I think I'm much more active. Like my NEAT activity is way higher because there's more hours of daylight. I'm just much busier. So I'm leaning out more effortlessly, it seems, in that regard. And then my nutrition's dialed in. Like I've got this whole keto thing figured out. So that's been streamlined. My meal prep's been super straightforward. You're prepping all my meals. I've got the macros calculated every single week. We get a routine there, and I haven't lost any strength whatsoever. So yeah, I feel like $1,000,000. And this is the first prep that we've done with a kid,
Yeah.
And like a lot of people would hear that and be like, oh my gosh, it sounds like tornado, perfect storm. But honestly, having Rigel's made it better. Like I can have a rough day and then come home and see him smiling. It's like, that's all that matters right here.
Yeah.
So it's been positive.
That is one thing about both of us. Like I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, I need to make a post on that because people give you so many
Excuses.
Just wait till this. Just wait till that. Just wait till you have kids. And that was like the most recent one. You guys just wait until you have kids. And it's like, I just competed in powerlifting a year after I had my kid.
Yeah.
Not only did I have him, but I also had a C-section. So it's like I had like a major abdominal surgery and I'm powerlifting,
Yeah.
And then Robert's in the middle of a prep right now and going to be the leanest man alive. So it's like, I don't think you should tell us that.
Yeah. Don't tell me I can't do something.
Yeah.
I'm going to prove you wrong.
That's the thing for like me. I'm not out to prove people wrong. I'm just like, I'm going to keep doing my thing and you'll just see that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like maybe that is the truth for you. But that is not the truth for me. And that needs to stop being the narrative. Like that is the truth for everyone, or people are just going to start believing it and then think like, oh, once you become a parent, you can't do anything because you have a kid. It's like, no, you can figure it out. And like, Rigel's not watched by anyone but me and Robert. So like right now he's being watched by Ellen, but that happens on a very rare occasion now.
Yeah. We don't take him to daycare. Like there's no,
we just
preschool.
make it happen.
We just make it happen. Yeah. We get after it. Like the only limitations you have in your life are the ones you put on yourself. Like I set out and said, hey, I'm going to be the leanest man alive. I'm going to make it happen. You said you're going to do a powerlifting meet. You made it happen. And we're being great parents, keeping up with everything else we have to do in tandem. So yeah.
Sorry, back to your prep. I didn't want to like
No,
too far.
Totally fine. In seeing how I'm looking now, you feel confident I'm going to be the leanest man alive?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. There's one other guy that's like supposed to be the leanest man alive, and like he does look really lean, but like, I mean, I feel like you already got him beat.
Yeah. I'm bringing like a whole nother level of conditioning with this go round.
One person that always comments on your stuff and is like, you can't beat whatever, and they like tag the person, and I'm like, are you not seeing the same guy I'm seeing? Because I'm pretty sure he's already done it,
Yeah, I'm going for broke on this one. Like it's going all out, and I'm taking away all the distractions. I'm literally sleeping in a different room than Crystal.
Yeah, that sounds terrible to like everyone else, but it's not.
It does
terrible.
sound bad, but a little context here. That just recently started, and I don't get very much sleep anyways. Like my routine is I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I come immediately into the warehouse and I start working on things. And I don't get to bed until like 9:30. So the sleep quantity is pretty limited, so I have to maximize the sleep quality. And the only way for me to do that was to just sleep in a different bed. So that's what we're doing right now, which is not the greatest for a intimate standpoint. But
I mean, literally when we're sleeping, though, like we're sleeping. Like,
yeah.
You do stuff outside of sleep time. Like... I don't know. Like people think like, oh, you're sleeping in separate beds. That means like everything is separate. It's like, no, we literally sleep in separate beds. Like we're doing extra things like going on a walk together. Like Robert's getting ready for the 50-mile march, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But we've been walking together a lot more. So we're actually getting more time together doing other things. We don't have to sleep side by side, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And like Rigel's got his own room. He's got his own bed. He's got his own thing going for him. But like if he is fussy or needs to breastfeed or something, we'll bring him into our room at some points throughout the night, and like he was kicking me and stuff, and it's just like anytime Crystal's moving around to go check on him, I'm waking up, my sleep's getting hindered. So yeah, we started sleeping in separate beds, and I literally saw a 2x improvement in my Aura and Garmin sleep data literally overnight. So
I just have to keep reminding him, like, I haven't slept through the night in 15 months.
Yeah, no, you're hardcore for sure, but I can't sacrifice sleep. I sacrifice everything else. I gotta try and improve sleep quality. The meals have all been super streamlined too. Like I'm doing one meal a day right now. You're prepping all those. We're doing like a souffle kind of thing. So I eat 1 keto brick a day plus this one meal, which is basically at this point in the prep consists of wild salmon, axis venison, eggs, egg whites, and that's it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we just bake that into one big Tupperware, and I eat that with my brick, and I'm like on top of the world after that. So that's been good. We did our first ketogenic caloric refeed last week. So we did the refeed pizza there. My body soaked that up. Mm-hmm. The sodium was on point. The macros were on point. The vascularity improved. The muscle fullness improved. Everything was markedly improved. So I feel like very confident about that. The only, not chink in the armor, so to speak, but the only big variable question mark that I have right now is this 50-mile march, which is taking place this week. So it is Tuesday at the time of this recording. This is going to go live on Friday. And then I am driving with Crystal and Rigel in our rig to Omaha. We're going to walk 50 miles to raise money and awareness for veterans. And then literally the day after the march is peak week. So that's kind of crazy. I don't know any other competitor that's doing that.
Yeah, it's I'm a little bit worried about him. It's going to be fine, but I am a little worried about him.
It's going to be fine. This will be the third year that I've done the 50-mile march. The first year I was on crutches for a week.
Yeah.
So hopefully that doesn't happen. That's going to really screw up my peak week. Last year, I think I was hurting for like 48 hours, but I wasn't on crutches at any point, and I felt fine. Now, granted, last year I was not in a deficit, and I did do a lot more walking in preparation than I have had time to this year. So I'm a little bit worried there. But that's where we're walking now, trying to get some steps in, condition my feet, and see how it goes. But I'm not doing anything different with my nutrition in preparation for this March because I want to keep all that uniform to kind of keep everything, on track for the prep the following week, or for the peak week the following week. So we shall see how it goes. But the 50-mile march is awesome. It's not something that I wanted to avoid doing because I was at a prep. I mean, every single year I've done it, the past 2 years I've done it, like you crest that last hill and you got all these people waiting on you. And it's like an emotional moment. Like I started crying because, I mean, I don't have any military experience, but I know all these people that I'm walking alongside do. All these people that are cheering us on and waiting for us at the finish line have. And it's like you are marching for a cause. We're marching through the night. We start at 5 p.m. on Saturday. We march until like afternoon on Sunday. It's basically supposed to be 50 miles in 22 hours. The 22 hours symbolizes the 22 veterans that take their life daily. And we're just trying to raise money and awareness for them. So it's a cause I feel very good about. And I don't know, I didn't want to avoid it because of selfish endeavors. I mean, because the bodybuilding is a selfish sport, and I don't want to, that is the priority right now, but I don't want to not do the march because of that.
Yeah, I feel like I told Robert, so it was like, so I did the march the first year. So Robert's done it 2 years. I did it the first year, and I was actually very, very early pregnant with Rigel at that time. But the next year, I had Rigel, and he was just like, I don't know, 2-3 months old.
Yeah, he was a tiny little guy.
Yeah. And so I obviously didn't do the march because I was breastfeeding, and he needed his mama. And I kind of just committed to, like, I probably won't do anything like this until we're, like, done having kids and everyone's done breastfeeding and, like, being with me through the night, things like that. But I told Robert, I was like, I literally cried last year because I wanted so badly to be with them and to feel the pain that they were in, and like and it sounds weird because it's like, why would you want that? But it's like, once you've done it, like, like you are not doing it for your own brain. Like, you're not doing it for your own benefit. Like, there's no benefit of walking 50 miles. Like, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But you're doing it for a cause. Like, you're doing it for a reason. You're doing it along friends and alongside of veterans and alongside of just like all these people that are band together for a cause. You have people driving by you honking and waving and waving flags. And at the very end, you have all these people that are there to help celebrate. And you have all the people that have donated the funds for these veterans. And
like last year we raised over $200,000 for veterans, which is awesome.
Yeah. But it's like so powerful that I cried because I couldn't be a part of it, And it was like, of course I wanted to be with Rigel, but like, it sucked to not be a part of that. And Robert's like, yeah, I do not want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been a couple times where we've been walking and like, I've noticed more inflammation in my knees. They're just like, I'm depleted right now. I'm in a deficit, like my body is more susceptible to injury. So from a bodybuilding standpoint, this makes no sense. But from a moral, ethical, cause speaking standpoint, like this makes all the sense. Mm-hmm. And I just want to be a part of it, and I don't know, like I like doing things that are hard. Last year, one of the guys that I've corresponded with via email quite a bit, his name's Rich. His son actually took his own life. He was in the military, and Rich reached out to me and said, hey man, I really admire you for doing this march. He told me about his son. I marched in honor of his son last year, and Rich is actually going to do the march with us this year. And knowing that, I can't not march. Like I think about Rigel, and if something like, what if Rigel decided to get into the military, suffered extreme PTSD, took his own life? Like, I can't even fathom that. Like, that, I can't even fathom that. So anything that I can do to move the needle one iota to put things in the right direction, like, that is a cause worth fighting for, worth suffering for, worth sacrificing for. So I'm proud to be part of the march. This podcast is going live on Friday, and I'll put this in the show notes, but anybody that wants to follow along on the march, I think it's going to be live streamed. A good portion of it is anyways. There's going to be a link in there to donate if you so choose. But honestly, if you just simply become aware of the issue that's at hand here, and let that be on the forefront of your mind as we're marching, that would be my ask there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Rigel and I are going to tag along. We're going to meet them at their stops. So we'll hopefully get some clips on some of the socials and things like that, kind of keep you guys up to date on how things are going.
Yeah, we're going to have like a little system in place. Like Crystal and Rigel are going to come in the rig, and then they're going to get my feet doctored up at every stop, make sure I'm hydrated, make sure I've got everything I need. I'll have to figure out my one meal timing at some point during that march. So it's going to be a little interesting in that regard, but we're going to make it happen. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good. 50milemarch.org, I think, is the website for that. All right, next topic of discussion, the first competition. So I'm doing 5 competitions this year. The first one is the OCB Federation. That is the week after the march, the weekend. So we march Saturday to Sunday. The first competition is that next Saturday. So literally the march goes into peak week, which is, like I said, kind of crazy. But this will be the first competition of my competitive season. It is in Utah. It's in Utah. I've got so many things going on. I haven't even made it that far. So Crystal's kind of like my secretary at the moment. She's booking all the Airbnbs, getting all the travel coordinated, et cetera, et cetera. But this will be the first competition. This OCB show. I'm doing bodybuilding, and it's going to be good. My posing routine is not as polished as I would like it to be for this first show. The mandatory poses are dialed in, but the routine's a little bit unrefined. So I'm just working on doing everything I can as I'm able to. But it's going to be great. I'm super excited about it. This is not the main federation I'm trying to really dial in for, so it's kind of like a warm-up show, which I don't really recommend people think of any show as a warm-up show, because I'm going in with the intent to do some damage and win. I'm not going in for second place. Like, I'm going in to win. But this is not the federation that I'm really trying to get my pro card status in to really get dialed in. So I hope that
He just wanted to cause more craziness for us as a family.
Yeah, exactly. I hope that doing this show, this will be the first time I've competed since 2017, because my 2020 endeavors got dashed with the, pandemic. So hopefully doing this first show will alleviate any stress, remove some anxiety, just get my feet wet back into the competitive grind, and then set me up for success for all the future shows, of which there will be 4 more. So I'm doing this first one, then I'm doing one at the end of September, like 24th of September or something like that.
Yep.
That one's in New York. New York, we're driving to that one. And then I've got one of the big shows that I'm really looking forward to that I've done 2 times in the past in Washington State, the Washington State Natural. And then both of those are INBF, WNBF shows. Then there's another INBF, WNBF show in New York. That's, I think, the beginning of November.
So you just said that one. November, then Washington.
No,
New York.
September.
New York is in September. And then you have the Washington one in October. Then
the fourth one is in Massachusetts, and that's in the beginning of November.
Yep.
And then the final show is Worlds. That's in Seattle, Washington. And that's kind of like the Super Bowl of natural bodybuilding. So the INBF, WNBF Federation is probably the strictest, most well-respected federation. In fact, it's pretty fair to say that. They got like a 10-year ban on all these substances. Some things, give you a lifetime ban. Like they're really strict from a natural bodybuilding standpoint. And that is the most prestigious natural bodybuilding show in that federation. So it's going to be an incredibly stacked competition. But since I'm doing 4 INBF, WNBF shows, I fully intend to get my pro card before that world show, which means I will be competing as a pro at that world show if all goes well. So I'll be doing my pro debut this competitive season 2 if I go pro prior to that, which is pretty exciting as well.
Yeah.
So lots in the pipeline there. We got the refeeds, we got the peak weeks, we got the posing, we got the competitive vibe. We got it all coming. It's going to be crazy, but it's going to be awesome. Like Crystal and I were like, man, there's not enough hours in the day. Life is absolutely crazy right now, but this is what we signed up for. It's all our own doing, and we're just taking it one day at a time and loving every minute of it. Yeah, but next year we have no plans, and we're excited about that too.
Like, no one asked Robert to do anything.
Yeah, we need a little debrief for sure. So that's super exciting. And with all these competitions, we're flying Chip out to film everything. Like we're going to be filming, the meal prep at the Airbnb. We're going to be filming the refeed pizza the night before. We're going to be filming the show backstage, the tanning, the posing, the lineup, everything, the rewards, everything. All of that's going to be on vlogs. All of that's going to be in the competition prep course that I'm working on. If you're listening to this podcast, you've heard me talk about the prep course. I'm making the world's greatest resource for natural bodybuilding, or just bodybuilding in general, competitive prep. Like, it's going to be the standalone pinnacle for a prep resource. Not sure when it's going to go launch, when it's going to launch, but when it does, it's going to be it's going to wipe everything else out of the water. So all this is going to be content that's going to go into that as well. So it's going to be really, really detailed. I'm super excited about it. Now, let's talk about some personal home life stuff.
Okay.
So, in light of all this chaos that we're doing, we're still having to keep up with all of our personal life, of which the homesteading has become a pretty big part. So we got the 15 chickens that we talked about a while back.
Yep.
And then we had a predator, and now we're down to 2 chickens.
Oh, you guys, we're down to 2 chickens. That's
2
so
chickens.
sad.
But after we record this podcast, you and I are actually going to go pick up 8 more chickens. So we're going to have 10 chickens, and I think we've solved the predator problem.
Yeah.
So that's good.
We're getting these 8 chickens from the lady that I've actually been purchasing eggs from. So I'm kind of excited because it'll be like the same eggs. She takes very good care of her chickens and like all of the animals that she has. So I'm really excited to like kind of go and like see what she has going on there, and then take her 8 chickens.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Or 8 of her chickens, I should say.
8 of her chickens. On top of that, one other thing that we've been doing these past few weekends is, like, we have no free weekends. We're literally scheduled and booked out until the end of the year. But we had 2 weekends that we filled with my parents coming up. My dad brought his tractor up. We've been literally digging post holes, breaking through rock with a breaker bar, because we have 2 rocks to 1 dirt where we live. And some very strenuous physical activity that most competitors are not doing this far into a prep, but it is what it is, so that we can build a fence around our entire property for watching my parents' dogs when they go sail around the world here shortly.
In December, which is crazy.
Yeah,
so soon.
They're both retired. They're going to go sail around the world, and we're going to watch their 3 English setters while they're gone. So we've been fencing in our property for that. But then also because we're going to be getting more livestock ourselves, probably goats initially.
I disagree.
Hear me out.
I disagree.
So we're going to do some cross fencing on our property. We're going to get some goats. The goats are going to clear all the shrub brush that we don't want. Then we're going to eat those goats. Then we're going to get pigs, because you want pigs.
I say we get pigs.
We get goats, then pigs.
Just pigs.
Just pigs. We'll get something. And then I'd love to get some cows, but we don't have enough room for cows. So we'll get goats and pigs, maybe just pigs. Maybe even fence in the property at the building, because we have several acres here. We could put some lambs or something out there, because I want some ruminant animals. But the homesteading operation is like taking shape. Like, we've got fence up, which is cool to see. So proud of that for sure. What other homesteading operations we got going on?
We've had the garden, and that went like crazy. It was so good. We had a lot of zucchini, and then our zucchini plants got some sort of infection.
Yeah,
it was like some sort of mold or something like that took them over, and then they just completely died. And with that went our cucumber plant as well, because it was like kind of intertwined in there. So that it was really great. And then we went out of town, and it was just like totally died by the time we got back. So
yeah. But our tomatoes and our peppers are going gangbusters.
Oh my gosh, our tomatoes and our peppers are going wild. And the strawberries are like
hit and miss.
They're here. Yeah, like a couple, which is totally fine, because we really don't eat that many berries and stuff, but it's kind of fun to have them. But there are a few things that I will do differently next year. But it's been a lot of fun. And honestly, like, we've been just so busy. Like, my tomato plants are going crazy. Like, I need to like clean them all up and everything, but I just can't find the time.
Man, I don't even know, like, these tomato plants are on some anabolic agents for sure.
Crazy.
Because like, we'll pick all the ripe tomatoes. There'll be no tomatoes on the vine. And then, like, the next day, there's more tomatoes on the vine. It's like, what are they doing?
Also, we have learned that you don't pick a tomato when it's red. You pick a tomato when it's starting to, like, when it's kind of like that pinkish
yellowish
color.
Looking, yeah.
It's like green turning yellowy, reddish, pinky color. And then it will ripen on your countertop. If you didn't know that, you buy red tomatoes from the grocery store, but you pick them when they're not red. Yeah. So I feel like that was a good thing that I learned. Because I feel like by the time they actually turned red, there was like cuts and stuff in them, like
they were splitting.
Like split, yeah. So if you were wondering on that,
it's been pretty cool. And I haven't really eaten many veggies, but like I'll take a pepper and I'll have a pepper with my one meal, and it's pretty cool to eat a pepper that I grew.
Yeah.
You know.
And
cool.
I made a thing of salsa, and Robert loved it.
The
He ate the whole
salsa
thing.
was the bomb diggity. You got to make some more. I've eaten it all.
Yeah.
But that on my meal was delicious,
Yeah.
and that literally is the best salsa I've ever had. So, do we have everything we need to make more salsa?
No, but
No?
I can make it.
Yeah, let's make some more salsa. That was good. I look forward to my salsa. What else? Let's talk about Rigel. So he is 15 months now, which is crazy.
Yep.
15 months, and he is growing. He's becoming opinionated.
Wild, yes.
He says "dada" all the time, which is
Yeah.
the cutest thing in the whole wide world. Love it to pieces.
Yep.
But he is. What are some milestones? So we took him into the doc not too long ago for his, routine checkup, and he's like in the 99th percentile on all the growth charts. And our doctor's pretty cool. Like he's fit. He's a hunter. Like he speaks the same language. He's not keto, but he's like respected the fact that we're keto. He hasn't tried to push anything on us. And then we walked into this last one, and he saw how much leaner I was because I'm in prep. He's like, "So tell me about this keto thing that you're doing." He's like, "You got to come and speak at a seminar or something that I'm going to host here before too long. And maybe you can kind of enlighten some people on nutrition." I'm like, "Yeah, man, sign me up." And then Rigel was in like the 99th percentile of all his growth metrics. And Rigel's totally keto. He's like, that sounds pretty interesting as well. So maybe I'm wrong about some of this nutrition stuff. Maybe I need to be paying a little bit more attention to keto.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool for sure. So I'm super excited about that. And then what are some other things? He's walking. Like,
yeah, he's been
I don't
walking.
know.
Well, I guess maybe on the last podcast he wasn't, but yeah, he's like walking really fast.
Yeah,
like he's so
darn near
fast
running.
now. Yeah. He can point out a whole bunch of body parts like his head and his eye and his feet and like all that. So that's really fun. He loves books. I don't know. I like can't pull him
He
out.
he loves mimicking us while we're working out. So like he was watching Crystal squat the other day, so then he started squatting. When we pick up something like a deadlift and we make a grunt, he'll pick up something like a whiteboard eraser and he'll be like, "Ugh." So it's pretty cute.
It's the funniest. Yeah.
He loves mowing with me. Like I've got a 0-turn mower, and I'll strap him in, and he'll just like, I'll put some big old earmuffs on him, and he just like chills
loves
out.
mowing.
He loves mowing, which is pretty cute too.
Yeah. Anytime Robert like goes to the garage, he like darts over to the garage door like, "We're gonna go mowing." It's so funny.
Yeah, it's the cutest thing ever. What else with Rigel? What else are we doing?
Still breastfeeding, going strong, and he is not letting go of that anytime soon.
Yeah, but he's eating a lot of food too. He loves steak. Like he can put down some steak. He eats the keto brick like crazy.
I made homemade chicken nuggets that we have on our Keto Savage website, and he's been loving those this week.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've ever made chicken nuggets for him, and he likes them a lot.
He loves mustard. I put some mustard on his food one time, and that pretty much ruined him. He's a mustard fanatic now.
He does love it.
What else is he doing? That's pretty much. I mean, like he I don't remember what we talked about him doing last time we recorded, but he's just. It's the coolest thing ever. Being a dad, being a mom, seeing him grow, and then I'm just so blessed and grateful that we have a life that we've built in which we don't have to take him to a daycare. Like you pretty much have him all day, but you come in to work out. I get to see him at the office here, and it's just that's the highlight of my day right there.
Yeah.
He's the cutest.
He is like definitely getting to be opinionated. He's cutting his molars right now too.
Yeah.
And he like is learning different like little things. Like I will say like out, like okay, let's get out of the bathroom, out, whatever. And now he says out. Like so funny. Oh my god.
And if you're trying to give him something he doesn't want, he lets you know he doesn't want it. Like he'll be like, nah, not having it.
And he doesn't say no. It's like nah.
Yeah, like shake his head and be like, nah.
It's so cute.
It's pretty awesome. We bought a one of those backpack things for him. So I should be honestly wearing that while I'm walking, but that'd be brutal. So we need
like
to
not
do some
like
hiking.
a carrier. It's like a hiking backpack, which is so nice for the summertime.
It's got like stirrups and stuff on it though. He loves getting in that. He loves checking on the chickens and like grabbing the eggs.
Yep.
So I'm excited to get some pigs or goats or lambs or whatever, and just like let him see those too. Like that's gonna be good. Yeah. And that's Rigel. That's Rigel's life update.
Yep.
Anything else in our world that we have not yet touched on, babe?
We knew going into 2023 it was going to be wild, and we are in the midst of it right now. Like it is getting crazy, and I'm just trying to mark one thing off at a time, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time. It's going to be a busy couple months.
It is.
September, October, November is just going to be wild.
Yeah. The prep is definitely the priority right now, like the different competitions coming up. But we've got some really exciting things in the pipeline. We got some exciting new flavors that we're working on with Keto Brick. We've been working on one flavor for 4 years, and we're getting that dialed in now, so that's super exciting. It uses a different ingredient base, and that's all I'm going to say. So pretty excited about that. We've got some really popular flavors that are going to be relaunching in the near future. I'm sure people are going to be excited about that. We just finished the Brick by Brick launch promotion, so everybody that took part in that, we are eternally grateful. That is always super good for us, and just kind of honors everyone that helped us make this initial move to the building. So thank you all so much for jumping on that. And we're still like a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. Like I'm working on getting the website dialed in, kind of polished, working on this online course, we're going to start really diving into the Live Savage component of the brand next year because we don't have anything scheduled. So we're going to start coming out with a lot more content around parenting, homeschooling, homesteading, gardening, livestock management, processing your own food. Like all that's going to be content that really starts coming to light next year. So I'm super excited about that as well.
Yeah, I feel like I've kind of taken a step back from like a lot of the things I've been doing and like just trying to get a big picture of like what do I want things to look like going forward. And so I think we're going to dive into a lot of the Live Savage stuff here coming soon.
Yeah, it's going to be good though.
Yeah.
So yeah, more updates on all that as it comes. But that's pretty much a wrap and an update on our lives up to this point. Episode 600 is in the books, baby doll. Thank you again for everything you've done for me with this prep, like having you prep my meals and just be that rock in my corner. I'm very, very appreciative of it, and I love you with all my heart.
Love you too.
For anybody that does not know, where do they find you?
Instagram, it's the.lady.savage, and then Robert and I share a YouTube and Facebook under Team Savage on Facebook and Live Savage on YouTube, and then my website is ladysavage.com.
And we do have Live Savage Instagram too, and that's going to be, like I said, where a lot of this other content starts coming through.
Yeah, we're putting stuff on there slowly but surely, so if you guys are not following at Live Savage, go do that.
Yeah. All right, that's a wrap, ladies and gents. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, babe, for joining me yet again. I love you. Love all y'all listening and watching. We will see you next time.